Listen, I know I was the weird kid organizing things in kindergarten by category, and it's what I love to do. I actually get a real joy when I see a big pile of messy folders that I can sit down and put order to. That's fun for me. I know a lot of people will see that and think, oh, hell no, I don't want to touch this. I can't. And they'll put it off and put it off. So break it down to what feels manageable, just a small chunk of it, and see if we can start getting some of that relief. And that's probably going to power you on.
Welcome to the Creative Bodega podcast. I'm Em Connors, Instagram content strategist, one of 43 Canva verified experts worldwide, and a mom of two who is not on Instagram for fun. I'm there to market my business, grow my email list, and get the heck off my phone. And that's exactly what I teach. You can expect simple content strategy, visual systems, and Instagram to email tactics that actually work without taking over your life. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Creative Bodega podcast. Today I have my very first Canadian guest on the podcast. I actually don't have guests that often. It's something I want to get a bit better about. It's honestly more about me being lazy about scheduling and coordinating with other people. But honestly, this guest is probably going to make me look disorganized, which is saying something because I actually consider myself to be pretty organized when it comes to systems and Canva. But her name is Brenda Cadman, and she is a fellow Canva verified expert. There's only 43 of us in the world, and she is up in Canada, and her expertise is Canva organization, as in anytime we are all together as a group of CVEs, if anything organization comes up, everybody looks right at Brenda, and she's typically got an answer for it. So if your Canva account is currently a complete disaster, which honestly, I happen to know a lot of yours are because I've worked with you and you've complained about it. You've got designs floating in space. You've got no folders. You've got templates that you used once and never again, and you can't even find them when you need them. This episode is going to be for you. So welcome to the podcast, Brenda.
Thank you for having me. And your first Canadian. I feel so special.
I love my Canadians. You know what's funny? Actually, a lot of people think I'm Canadian.
Interesting.
Yes, they will DM me like, are you in Canada? And I'm like, no. And they say that I give off Canadian vibes, which are kind vibes. They're kind.
Well, that's good. I was going to say, what does that mean?
No, yes. Like, honest to God, Canadians are so kind and just kind of down to earth, I think, personally. So whenever I get that question, I take it as a complete compliment.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are one of very few Canva verified experts in the world. How did organization become your jam?
I mean, it's been with me since I was a child. I literally can remember being in kindergarten and most of the kids were, they're playing with the train set, they're playing with the blocks, there was a dress up area. And then Mrs. McPherson had this kind of armoire of, just little drawers and things. And there'd be buttons in one. There'd be bottle caps in another. And it was just drawers of little things. And you could pull them out and you could organize them into some sort of category. And she'd come by and try to figure out, had you organized it by color or size or whatever it was. And I distinctly remember that being my favorite thing. So perhaps the signs were in early.
That's actually super interesting because my daughter is like that. Like, we have a picture of her when she was like 2, and she's, the little like food pouches, like the different kinds of food. All she's doing is lining them up by color order. And then,
Interesting.
then she moved into dress up clothes, but she never actually tried on the dress up clothes. All she would do was organize all this stuff. And she still does it to this day. She's got fidgets, and we're not sitting there playing with them. We're by color, or we are by size, or we are by function. So I'm always like, I can't wait to see what you're going to do with your life.
It's funny. I was at a networking thing recently and that story came up and we'd been talking about neurodivergence and I've never identified as neurodivergent, but the more stories I was telling, the more of them that were saying, Brenda, data point. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I realized that probably very early I was wired to look to categorize things, to look for patterns. And then throughout high school, I was in student council. I was the one with the color-coded binder for things. And I got teased about it a lot growing up because, I was always the reliable one who came with everything ready to go and
Yeah.
organized into categories. But it's just how my brain operates. And whether it's, spaces or events or piles of paper, I'm looking for ways to put order to the chaos so you can actually
Yeah.
get things done faster. And Canva was just the
Mm.
next iteration of that.
That actually makes perfect sense to me. What would you say? Because clearly I work with a lot of female solopreneurs, and in my course, it's definitely more about like design and
Mm.
branding colors and like getting a system up and running so you can post easily on social media. And I have one lesson on how I organize my Canva. And I'm always surprised because people are like, "Oh my god." And I always say, "This is so unsexy. This is, like, not,
Oh,
it's not
it's
cool. It's not
no,
like."
this is not the AI. This is
Yeah,
not the
yes,
design
yes,
side. This is the boring stuff.
yes. But, oh my god,
But it's
how
important.
much easier it will make your life if you
Yep.
actually take the 30 to minute whatever, how long ever it's gonna take you. It's so worth it, and that's what people say after they do it. They're like, "I'm so glad you made us do this because." What is, would you say, the biggest mistake you see solopreneurs making with their Canva account when it comes to organization?
I mean, the biggest one, they're really it does fall into different categories. There's a wide variety of the same mistakes that come up over and over. One of the easiest ones that people can relate to is using their uploads folder as a dumping ground for every single, piece of
Ooh,
media.
guilty.
I know.
Guilty.
And Canva did roll out more recently the ability to create folders inside of uploads, which was
Yes.
not there for the longest time. But honestly, that didn't need to be, the thing stopping you because you could always create custom folders to
Mhm.
organize your images, but you have to actually take the step of doing it, and it can feel overwhelming if you've been dumping images in there, uploading images for years. You can literally have thousands of images in there, so it does feel a
Yeah.
little bit overwhelming, a little cumbersome to do it, but if you don't actually start going through it, doing a purge of what doesn't need to be there and start looking for the patterns and the categories of content that you're uploading, you're gonna end up uploading the same brand photo shoot half a dozen times because it's easier to upload it than it is to go back and find it.
Find it.
And especially if you have a lot of images you're uploading that might be similar, if you don't have a system to help you find what you're looking for quickly, then every time you go to look for a brand asset, an image asset, or even a design, you are introducing decision making at every step because now
Ugh,
first you have to find it. And then once you find it, you have to do a quick analysis of is this the version I'm actually looking for? Because the naming isn't,
yeah,
on par to tell me if this is the current one that I'm looking for. And if you've got a
yeah.
lot of old stuff in there you haven't purged out, now there's a lot of clutter in terms of deciding, is this the most relevant version to use? So I think
Mhm.
that overall, if I had to look for one thing, it's just the not maintaining it, not staying on top of it. I think digital clutter feels different than physical clutter because you can put it away and you don't have to look at it the
Mm,
same way. You
100%.
also don't, you also don't have the same kind of natural confinement that you have in a physical space. If you have a closet, you only have so much space in there. And if it's overwhelmed and stuff's fallen out of it, you can't put anything else into it. You have to deal with it. Whereas in a digital environment, you need to, that constraint is taken off to some extent. Yes, there's limits in terms of file
Yeah.
counts that you can have, but they're pretty high. So you kind of have a lot of wiggle room there. So,
Yeah, my god, I've had
you
Canva
know,
for whatever since 2017, and I've never run into a problem with my
yeah.
upload, and I upload a lot of stuff. I actually have to ask you a question because I don't know the answer to this. Can you name the files? Can you name the uploads? Is it when you said
Yes.
search? So then you could
You
search the
can rename them. Yeah, so
keyword. Yeah.
you can rename them so you can search by keyword, but Canva does if you're on Pro, it's also going to put into place smart tagging, which will
Mm,
naturally start adding keywords. So you can name them, you can
mm,
tag them, and there's smart tagging, which is Canva using its AI to determine what is the content of this image and then assigning keywords to it to hopefully help you be able to retrieve them later.
got
Which
it.
can be helpful, but, it's not gonna be able to pick up on context, like which event was this from?
Right, right,
Is
right.
there something specific about it, a brand or a client that it's associated with that I would want it to come up for? And
Yeah.
also back to that point of uploading everything you ever needed, if you have 3 gazillion versions of, you know, a particular image, it's going to surface everything.
Yeah.
So naming's important, search is important, but you want to be doing it in conjunction with some sort of actual organizational structure as well.
Yeah. So do you do all the things? You name it, you put it in a folder. Like I think those are like
Yeah.
the two main things, right?
Yeah, those are the main things. I don't tag images because I don't need to because
Yeah.
it's not the way my
Named
brain naturally
in the
works,
folder.
and I can find it in the folder if I'm looking for it. But
Yeah.
there are all these different aspects to organization in Canva that I think a lot of people don't realize exist, because if you feel a lot of friction going into Canva trying to find things, it's easy to blame it on the platform.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the reality is there are features there available, but you have to know which ones to use. You have to actually take the steps to come up with a system that works for you,
Yeah.
because the 5 folders that work for somebody else likely won't work for you, because we retrieve
Right.
information differently. We have different industries. We're creating different kinds of content. And even if
Yeah.
you're creating identical content to the person next to you, you may be looking for it in a different way, and you want to be able to create a system that works for you, but also works for anybody who's going to be accessing your content on your behalf.
Correct. Like in my course, the visual edit, I'm like, I can share with you my folder levels, but this
Yeah.
may not make sense for you. Like you need to really think about what you're regularly accessing or how you would like layer things, you know? So I'm like always like, it's a starting point, but
It's great
definitely,
for inspiration.
yeah, 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 yeah. But definitely think about how you use Canva. That's really funny you said that. I assumed you were going to say something about folders, but you went with the uploads. And that is definitely an area where, oh, I have a lot. I have a lot. Okay. So this is a good question. So someone like me who yeah, I may have one or two folders in there that I made years ago and I haven't kept up with.
Yeah.
How do you recommend somebody tackle is this like I say, like for folders, I say set a timer and like see what you can get through in a certain amount of time and then then let it go. like
And I think this is a mistake a lot of people make, and then they write off folders because it didn't work for them. And it's also why I don't say folders is the first thing, because the fix often isn't to just start creating folders, because there's no point creating folders for things until you understand what you have and what you have to organize.
right.
Otherwise, you're going to end up scrolling through pages of folders instead of pages of files, and that's not helping
Yeah.
anybody. So I honestly think the best first step is just, put your favorite show on whatever streaming platform you watch, grab your favorite drink, and get into purge mode. Let's start deleting what you don't need, because if you think
Mm.
of the parallels with like a physical filing cabinet, you're not going to start creating folders for papers
Neat.
that don't need to be there in the first place. If they're garbage, if they're reference, these are
Yes.
things we need to know. Like if there's archive stuff in there you need to keep, but it doesn't need to be forward facing that you need to be accessing on a regular basis, this is where creating an archive folder can come in handy. So usually what I find the best first step for folks is you're going to go through, you're going to make a decision. Is this current? Am I going to use this? Leave it alone. I don't need this anymore. I don't see any situation I'm going to use this. It's garbage. Delete it. And I'm not sure, I might need to reference this in the future, but it's not something active. Create a folder called archive and just dump all of those in there. You can create a subfolder structure for that later if you need to, but at least that's something if you go searching for it in the future, it's still there. And, there
Yeah.
might be things you have for nostalgia purposes. Maybe there's something you created with an old brand that's no longer active
Yeah.
that you kind of want to
Yeah.
be able to reflect on it later on to
Yes.
see how far
Yes.
you've come. You can keep
Yes.
those. I'm not saying turf everything. I'm
Mhm.
a little aggressive when it comes to clearing things out in my home. My
Me
husband will
too.
attest to that.
I threw my daughter's tooth out last night and she lost her mind. I was like, yeah. Anyways, keep going.
We all have the teeth and hair pile.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Uh-huh.
mom's prerogative. I, I
yes.
I I take it seriously.
Yeah. Teeth and
But
hair.
in terms of that digital content, because we don't have the same physical constraints, you can keep it. I'm not here to say you have to get rid of everything that you're not using at this moment, but you need a really intentional place of where you're going to go look for it if you need it, and you don't want it cluttering up the stuff that you actually need to get done
Yeah. Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So going through and doing that first purge through is really important. And while you're going through, you can also be looking at, what am I creating? What are the natural
Mm-hmm.
clusters of content that I'm creating? You might be finding I create a lot of social content. Okay, mental note, there's probably going to be a primary folder for social media. And
Mm-hmm.
that can be broken down into platform, or that can be broken down in another way that makes more sense to you, maybe by campaign or by, month if that makes more sense for
For
you.
me, it's by style. It's like
There you
carousels,
go.
single image, whatever. Yeah.
There you go. So you're going to have your own unique way of how you break that content down. Some of us are active on certain platforms and not others. So I don't need a
Yeah.
folder for TikTok or
Yeah.
anything. 'Cause I don't create anything for
No.
that.
Hmm.
So you can start absorbing that while you're going through it, but it's also a nice entry point into getting organized because it's not a huge heavy lift in terms of deciding. You can follow your gut on, yeah, I still need this. Oh, I might want to keep that for the future. And that's garbage. I don't need
I'll
that
never
anymore.
use
So it's a
yeah.
quick decision. And the same thing goes through for your uploads. You want to do a purge through those as well.
Right. Do you have any naming? Like, do you have like
I'm
naming
not
folders? No.
I'm not really militant about it. I think the
Yeah.
important thing is be consistent where you can. If there are things you're naming on a regular basis, make sure it's descriptive enough that you know at a glance what is actually in there because
Yeah.
we all have multiple versions of things that look very similar on the outside.
Hmm.
And you don't want to be losing a few minutes here, a few minutes there, opening 4 different versions of a file trying to find the right one.
Yeah.
So making sure that the naming is there. There are techniques you can use that I think can be very effective. If you are creating content for clients, having a prefix on client files that you know. I saw this with one client I worked with. Like if she was working with me, any design files related to me would start with BAC for Bonacore Creative, a
Hmm.
colon, and then the file description. So she could search on the prefix to find everything, or she could at a glance see when organizing things, what things were going to go into my client folder. So those kinds of labeling can be very effective. But I
Yeah.
think really the most important thing is you need to be able to look at it and know what it is without opening it. I don't
Right.
want to see copy of blah, blah,
Oh
blah, or
God.
copy
Yeah.
of template name that had meaning at the time, but you haven't renamed, so
Doesn't.
you don't even know if it's something you're using.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those kind of clean little labeling cleanup issues. But other
Yeah.
than that, I think do what makes sense for you to be able to find the content easily in the future. That's the real test. Can you find this in under 5 minutes in the future if you need to?
Yeah. If something took me 5 minutes, I'd give up and I would just start a
Well,
new
yeah, five
design.
minutes may be generous. If
Yeah.
I find it in under a
I feel
minute,
like
I'm
I'm
going to be
out. I
concerned.
mean, you hit a
Yeah,
really good point, and it's something I talk about a lot. It's that friction and decision fatigue. Like
yeah,
that's why I'm always like, find reusable templates. You should never be starting from nothing every time. Like it's just crazy. Just because you used a design once doesn't mean it's written off and done. In fact, people love seeing things that they recognize, and they'll start to recognize your
oh,
template
absolutely.
style, and that's
It shouldn't
huge.
look different every time.
Right.
Otherwise, you're
Right.
not gonna build that brand recognition that you're after. But if you're
Exactly.
creating those templates, just make sure that A, you're creating a system to be able to find them easily, and B, that you're not mixing them up with designs. There's a difference between designs and templates, and you wanna be able to make sure you know which one to start with so you're not accidentally overwriting something that
Yes.
you've used in the past. So, taking advantage of Canva's brand template feature if you're on Pro, and if not, just
Mhm.
making sure that you have a structure where the template file is very very clearly the template and not one of the copies of it that you've created for a specific purpose.
Correct, correct. One of the things people do that kills me is like multiple carousels within one design. Like I'm like, you're never gonna be able to find it because for me, I'm so visual. I'm not looking at words. I'm looking at that first page of the carousel with the headline or the hook. And that's how I know it's it. So if I had multiple carousels buried within one, I would never find. I'm always like, make a duplicate and, or create a brand template and start from there. But I feel like that's a big mistake I see people make.
It can be, again, it's
It's up to
individual.
them.
There are some
Yeah,
people who
yeah,
like
yeah.
to have all of they search by file type. They want it all in a
Yeah,
single file.
in the
They want to
same
go to
one.
grid view and then scan and find it. But regardless, I mean, duplicating it and using that fresh for a new carousel makes absolute sense. That's probably the way I would operate myself just instinctually. But
Yeah,
again, once you duplicate it, make sure you're renaming that sucker right away because
right.
otherwise you're going to have copy of. And then again, we're back to that. I have to come back to this later. If there's one
Copy of.
file to reevaluate and rename later, it's not a big deal, but none of us has one
Yeah.
file to do. At the end of the week, you're going to have a whole bunch of them. And then it's, oh, I'll put that off until later. And then the pile grows again.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely true. What is something that exists in Canva that most people don't know about that you find yourself kind of schooling people on? Like, oh, like,
Oh, I know what the number one is. And it's
okay,
not even a feature, it's just how to interact with it. Most people will say, okay, I've created folders and I put a bunch of stuff in folders and I'm still seeing everything I ever created, whether it's in a folder or not, when I go to my projects
right.
area.
Uh-huh.
That is because the way Canva works, at least at this time, is it surfaces kind of everything on that main when you go to projects.
Everything.
The one thing you have to do is in the left hand projects navigation. If you're not seeing that, make sure you expand the sidebar. You don't want the main default projects landing page. You want to go and show your projects. And when you filter it to your projects, you're not going to see all the shared files to you. You're also not going to see everything you ever created. What you're going to see is the folder structure that you have and any files that have not been put into a folder yet. So if you narrow down to just your projects, if it's on that screen, it has to go into a folder. Like I literally
Interesting.
had to create a YouTube video about this because so many people were asking,
So I'm on here
"How
now.
do I
So
do this?"
I clicked projects on the left-hand side and then at the top it says all projects, your projects shared with you. So you're saying click on your projects and then there it's recents, folders, and items. I don't know where that is.
And
So you
items, yeah.
so you're saying if it's on this page, it basically needs to be filed?
Mhm. If you have
Mhm.
filtered to your projects, you're not
Uh-huh.
on all projects,
Right.
it needs to be filed.
Under the items, they're not in
Correct.
folders. Yeah,
Correct.
interesting. I didn't know this, so I'm looking at everything now that needs to
I
be.
mean, the caveat is that it could always change,
Yeah, oh,
and
well,
it has in the
yeah,
past. The way
yeah.
of filtering to see this view and understanding what still needs to go into a folder, that has
Yeah,
changed, and, I mean, it
that's
could by the
interesting.
time people are listening to this, but
Yeah,
it's been like this for a little while. If it changes,
that's
I'll put
cool.
another YouTube video out, but,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, at
Oh,
this
that's
point,
really
that's how you have to
cool.
do it.
I tell
Yeah.
people, "Don't even look at that project." Like, I don't spend 2
Oh,
seconds
and
there.
don't do that.
Well, the main projects one, because I file everything, so
Yeah.
I just navigate right to the file. I never have to spend time sort of perusing that, like, all designs area.
Once you're organized and you have your folders and you're working from your folders, you can go through all projects because you can quickly find the
Yeah.
folder.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you
yeah.
haven't taken that step yet, it's just going to
Right.
feel very overwhelming because you could have a whole lot of folders that, you don't even need. But I do find that particular, and I'm on a mission to ask them to please make your projects the default instead
Yeah.
because all projects
Yeah.
is not really useful for a lot of people
Mhm,
because it,
mhm.
it does feel really overwhelming. But yeah, so until honestly, even if you have already organized, I've kind of developed the muscle memory to go straight to your
Go
projects.
right there. Yeah.
And then if there are folders you're constantly using and it's just a handful of them, don't forget that you can star folders so they're
Yeah.
appearing on the left-hand side. That can be really useful, particularly if you are working on just a kind of time constrained project that
Yes.
maybe it's in a subfolder that's really buried and you don't want to click multiple times down. You
To get
can
there.
star it so it just appears in your little favorites on the side there and then unstar it when you're done with that project.
Exactly. That's one of the easiest things to do, and I am a huge star full of folders, and it'll be like I have a course coming up, and I'm
Yeah.
working on a lot of stuff all the time in this next month, and then when I'm done, you literally click the star and it goes away, and
And
it
it's
just goes
gone.
back to its home. Yeah.
And just make sure you
So,
don't star everything because, again, you're gonna get
yeah,
into, well, if you star everything, nothing is standing out and it's not gonna serve its purpose.
right. I think I have 5 max at all
That's
times.
great.
Yeah, that's a big one, like my podcast, right? Like, I'm always having to
Exactly.
create the image for the podcast, so it's like, I want that folder really easy. I don't wanna go 3 layers, 4 layers deep to get to it.
Yeah, like,
Mm,
my blog is always starred, my blog and
yes.
my course. The blog,
Yep.
I'm in there creating content multiple times a week. I'm always gonna need share images. I'm gonna need,
Mm,
screenshots that are formatted the way I want them, so I'm in there regularly, and it only saves a couple of clicks for me, but again,
yeah,
it's cumulative.
friction.
Those
Mhm.
little bits of savings,
Yep,
they add up to, a big time savings overall and also just a huge reduction in frustration.
totally, and that's one of the main things I hear. that women are, I don't use Canva that much because it's just so frustrating, or I can never find what I need. And I'm like, oh, that breaks my heart. Like there is a way to
Yeah.
avoid that or make that better. Because to me, it's not it doesn't feel like friction, To me, going
No.
into Canva is really fun and light and creative. It's not like this big ask that I'm gonna get overwhelmed with.
No, everything just needs a home.
Everything needs a home. I know. Well, okay, one last question. So someone's listening and their Canva is sort of a complete hot mess and they've never really done anything to make it any better. What's like the one thing you would have them do today, starting with?
Oh, the number one thing. I mean, that delete thing is a
Deleting.
good starting point. I think it's one of I'd say start small, honestly. If you have it in
Mhm.
you to go through and do a deleting episode, go through and do that. If you
Yeah,
wanna narrow the focus, just start with your uploads folder, which may be a big job into itself, but
for
maybe
sure.
just going through and deleting old uploads, that might be all you work on to start with. And I think getting those quick wins of, "Okay, this feels good. I'm actually getting rid of a lot of stuff that I don't need." It lifts the weight. It does start to feel lighter, and I think it can give you a bit of momentum to carry on because I know this is listen, I know I was the weird kid organizing things in kindergarten by category, and it's what I love to do. I actually get a real joy when I see a big pile of messy folders that I can sit down and put order to. That's fun for me. I know a lot of people will see that and think, "Oh, hell no, I don't wanna touch this.
Yeah,
I can't," and they'll put it off and put it off. So, break it down to what feels manageable, just a small chunk of it, and see if we can start getting some of that, you know, that relief, and that's probably gonna power you on, and don't feel like you have to do it all at one time. It baby steps. I mean, if you wanna carve out a weekend and just tackle this once and for all, fantastic. But
yeah,
don't feel like you have to. Like, if you just even wanna clear the deck, move a lot of stuff into a folder to sort later and just start fresh, that's fine too. I want you to find something that's gonna work for you to actually stop putting this off and tackle it, or figure
yeah,
out if there's somebody else that you can do this with, where maybe
yeah.
it's, holding each other accountable, where you carve out some co-working time once or twice
Mhm.
a week to just focus on clearing the mess a little bit, half an hour
Right.
at a time. Just make progress. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make some
Right.
progress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Because a lot of people ask me, like, well, how far back should I go? And I'm like, well, it's up to you. If you start getting to stuff that is so old and you don't use it anymore, like maybe that's your cutoff.
Or at that point, you're just, click, dragging, and
like
selecting
you just
multiple
said,
files at
yeah.
that point and swoop it
It's an
into your
archive.
archive folder, so you're not
Yeah.
having to make decisions anymore. Now, there's still
That's
the
definitely
consequence of having
something.
to do it, but
Yeah.
there's no mental power needed to do it, and that's the kind of task you really can do while you're, catching up on
That's
Paradise or
super
whatever.
satisfying to hear, to like to the thought of like selecting all and dragging it into an archive and then just like starting fresh from that next upload or whatever. That sounds very satisfying to me.
I
But
wish that's one of the things I do wish Canva had the ability to select all.
select all. You got to
It's on
manually
my
click,
wish
click, click, click,
list.
click.
They know it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, Brenda, this was so good. Thank you so much for coming on. You're making me want to go to my uploads folder immediately and do a little recon, which I probably will do after we finish recording. But please share how people can find you and how they can work with you.
The best place to find me is at my website, brendacadman.com. I am not as active on social as I know your audience is.
It's
I'm
fine.
trying. It's an uphill battle for me.
Uh-huh.
But the website's the best place. And, if they're needing a little more help to actually tackle this process, I do have it's a course that's evergreen. It's available whenever you're ready to start the organizing process. And anytime there are major changes to Canva's organization features, it does get updated as well. So you get lifetime access to those.
I love that. And we will put both Brenda's website as well as a link to that course in the show notes. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on the Creative Bodega podcast. If you love this episode, please be sure to share it with a fellow solopreneur who could use a little content creation inspiration. And hey, don't forget to check out the show notes for any resources I mentioned on the episode to help you create content that feels easy and actually gets you results. If you want even more Canva and content tips, head over to my website, thecreativebodega.com, or find me on Instagram under the same name. Until next time, keep creating, keep showing up, and most importantly, try and have a little fun with your content. I'll see you on the next episode.